All right, let us move over to this welterweight scrap now, as we have Nikolai Veretennikov coming in at plus 110, going up against Chaos Williams, who comes in at minus 130. Now, when we got this matchup against with Veretennikov and Nico Price, I was very surprised to see Veretennikov all the way up at minus 250. Now, I picked Price to win, and I had very low confidence in doing so, but that was more so of a fade on Veretennikov and the price. I fail to understand how badly Nico Price has been looking at this stage of his career, and did not think that Veretennikov would have had the type of power nor the aggression to really cause Price issues. But it took him, 70-something seconds, less than 2 minutes actually, to get the finish there over Nico Price. So if anything, I think that kind of over-exaggerates where Veretenikov's skill level is. Right, that was his second win in the UFC. He's now 2-3 in the UFC. His other win was a very close fight and win over Francisco Prado. That was a fight where I actually picked Veretennikov as a dog, but when the scorecards were being read, I did not feel comfortable that he was actually going to get his hand raised. There was a lot of back and forth grappling. I was surprised at how much Prado was looking to grapple Veretennikov, considering how much bigger Veretennikov was. But it seemed that Veretennikov was struggling to get to his offense, but even when he did, it was enough apparently for the judges to actually score the fighter in his favor. Then we saw Soriano completely grind out Veretennikov, showcasing the spots that Veretennikov will struggle in. But again, I feel that knockout win for Veretennikov last time around against Nico Price is going to over-exaggerate what his skill set actually brings to this fight against Chaos Williams. He's a well-rounded fighter, but he is 36. He's up there in age. I believe he lost on the Contender series against Michael Morales, which obviously makes sense now considering how good Morales has looked. But we know the spots and the realm in which Veretennikov will struggle, and I also am not a big fan of his gas tank, as I think he really struggles in deep water, especially if it's a high output and a high activity fight. Speaking of high output and high activity fights, he's going up against Chaos Williams, who is coming off of one of the craziest beatdowns and displays of bullying that we've ever seen when he came up short against Andreas Gustafsson. That fight was crazy. We saw Gustafsson on the gas from jump, really outworking Williams that entire time, landing 8 takedowns, controlling 9.5 minutes of that fight, outstruck Williams 98-39 on significant strikes as well. He showed no respect for Williams whatsoever, and Williams seemed to really break throughout that fight. That's not a good indication of what Williams actually brings to the table when he's actually on, right? We saw him do very good work against Rolando Bedoya. We saw him get that quick knockout victory over Carlston Harris. We know he has bombs in his hands, and that's what he leaned on a lot earlier on in his career, but he's really started to become a better and more disciplined striker, which has often helped him to go out there and outstrike opponents. And whether it leads to a knockout or not, he's usually pretty hard to deal with when he gets into his striking groove. His defensive grappling has improved a decent amount. Obviously, got submitted in the dying seconds, I believe, of round 1 against Gabriel Bonfim, and then obviously worked through by Gustafsson. But I think it was really the pace and pressure and just the crazy work of Gustafsson that caused Williams a lot of trouble that night. I still think Williams is capable of a few UFC wins. He's definitely better than I gave him initial credit for when he came into the UFC with that nasty knockout over Abdul Razak Al Hassan. And his technical striking has gotten a lot better. Obviously, his explosivity, his athleticism, his power makes his striking that much more dangerous. And the fact that his defensive grappling is slowly improving helps him keep fights in a range where he can go out there and outstrike his opponents and eventually line up those knockouts. Now, here against Veretennikov, when I studied this matchup, Chaos was closer to minus 120. Now he's getting up to minus 130. It seems like love is slowly starting to trickle in on the American fighter. And I have to agree. I think his grappling defense will be good enough to keep Veretennikov away from trying to grind this fight out. And in terms of striking, I think Williams is the more dangerous striker. Don't let Veretenikov's knockout of Price sway you too much here. Again, Price is damaged goods at this point in time, whereas Chaos Williams, I think, can still eat a big shot and throw back even heavier in return. I'm expecting Williams to be competitive in this first round and then really start to pull away in the second and third rounds, landing big power and big combinations, and I think that will lead to him winning this fight on the scorecards. It's possible he can get the knockout, but for the most part, Veretennikov has pretty good durability and can eat some big shots from his opponents, so it will be a little bit surprising if he actually ends up going out here. But again, Williams has nasty power. So would it really surprise me? Maybe not. But in terms of an official prediction, I will still go with Williams and Williams by decision.